As Nigeria seeks to attain sustainable economic growth, Dr. Temitope Oshikoya, an economist, and Mr. Kehinde Jurosimi Eti, a chartered accountant and seasoned banker, have launched a new book to address the prospects of a vibrant capital market and investment banking space. The book, titled Frontier Capital Markets and Investment Banking, Principles and Practice from Nigeria, brought together royal fathers, public sector players, business leaders, and even financial market players. Chairman of the occasion and former Minister for Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, set the context of the discourse on the book, which he described as apt and critical for Nigeria's economic growth.
There is a deficit funding, there's a gap in financing, and there lies the opportunity for investors, for bankers, for capital market operators, and all of the people that this literary feast will address by the reviewers today. About 17 years to the day, in this state, we were trying to persuade the Nigerian investment community and government that a state government should be allowed to go to the capital market and raise money in this state. And ultimately, after many huffs and puffs, federal government inevitably allowed that to happen. All of the regulatory authorities converged and approvals were given. But that was 17 years ago. And how much was the debt that was sought to be raised from the capital market then? 25 billion naira for a state government of 20-something million people. How far was that going to go? But shortly after that, some things have happened again. From 25 billion naira, the same state government issued a 167 billion naira program. So from 2002 to 2012, a decade or thereabout, things have moved in leaps and bounds. And so if the clouds are gathering today, and I tell you that the omens are good, I really mean that they are good. And you will see what I've alluded to, dealt with in some parts of the book, and hopefully this might interest some of you ultimately to find cause to write a check to acquire some copies of the book as we progress. And all of these are the indicators that presage the book written by Temitope Oshikoya and Kehinde Jurosimi Eti. For me, the glass is getting half full, and it is getting fuller by the half, if there is such an expression. For me, it is never empty in the sectors that this book addresses.
Co-author Mr. Kehinde Jurosimi Eti informed guests that the book was a contribution to the economic development of Nigeria and a way of giving back to the society.
Basically, what this book is a contribution to the economy. And 6 years since I've left banking, what I do now is give back. And part of my give, many different ways, part of my give back is this. Some of the people that I'm giving back to are the young people. It's time to work for the young people. So I'm sure you know how much the book is worth, but you write your check. Everything that's coming into it will go to give back. So don't look at it that you're buying a book for a certain amount. Thank you very much.
Book reviewers Professor Koinsola Ajayi, SAN, Professor Undubusi Nwokoma, and Mr. Chuka Eseka commend the co-authors for the book, describing it as an incisive and practical in approach, and recommended it to students, market operators, policymakers, investment bankers, amongst others.
We see from the book that the financial system is the engine that propels the economic vehicle of any country. It makes the reader recognize the importance of capital and investment banking markets in this economic vehicle and how it is well propelled and managed. The book sheds light in its 16 chapters on the intricate relationship between finance and the law, why the financial sector is heavily regulated, and of financial systems of frontier markets. This traits of the book takes nothing away from its being both a textbook for students, a handbook for investment bankers, stockbrokers, dealers, underwriters, book runners, arrangers, we lawyers, and indeed other capital market intermediaries. As a matter of fact, your book has traveled in my office from one hand to the other amongst lawyers. The authors deftly showcase their wealth of knowledge and experience in the field of finance and astute understanding of business and economics through their accentuation of the higher role and impact of financial intermediation in our country. The authors aptly highlight the interconnectedness and interdependence of intermediation, markets, and the system as a whole in the development of our economy. The clarity and directness of their writing makes for a captivating read, and even though it may appear simplistic to some, it is indeed a book of great depth. I thank them for their dynamism and ease of comprehension.
And the book provides some framework, basically conceptual, on what we mean by frontier markets, and then try to compare it with emerging markets, which I'm sure many of us here will know. And try to appraise issues like how to raise capital, project finance, asset management, urban securities, trading, and the environment of regulation in the economy, and how this will help to enhance capital raising. In Nigeria, which is a premier, the largest frontier market that we have in Africa and all over the world, it presents a broad framework of the different players and regulators of the market for long-term funds, as well as their various modes of interaction. The issues that relate to the proper procedures for capital raising and fund management implications are also treated in the book. The authors, from information, they are experienced both locally and internationally in the market, both intellectually and also in terms of practice. Over 5 decades of experience on these issues, and I think it's something that puts the book in very, very good stead as a very good material that can be used as a handbook for those in industry and as a textbook for people who are with us, our students in the academia.
Nigeria is projected to be one of the top 15 to 20 economies in the world by 2050. And whilst we have the demographic advantage, the key ingredients for economic development have to be put in place. The book adequately captures the journey we must embark on as a nation, ranging from the needed infrastructure, physical and institutional capital, the role of digitization and fintech, talent management and governance through regulatory frameworks that we need to put in place to achieve this economic potential.
Highlights of the event was the unveiling of the book by the Oba of Lagos, His Royal Majesty Rilwan Akiolu, alongside other special guests and dignitaries. Professor Ndubuisi Nwokoma of University of Lagos speaks further on the book.
The kind of capital that we have in the country currently is not the type that will enhance the growth of the real sector. We need solid capital, like we need foreign direct investments. We need also to raise domestic capital that is for a long time. So the book is very useful. Talk about the practice, the principles, and how the capital market can help to enhance economic growth and development. Very useful, because we need a lot of infrastructure in Nigeria now. The country needs to develop infrastructure critically, and we need to raise long-term funds. You cannot grow infrastructure with short-term funds, but with long-term funds. So definitely the book is very useful to see how people can be aware of how these funds can help economic growth and development. Very, very important.
For the co-authors, it is a book that seeks to prefer solutions to how Nigeria can reposition its capital markets to be the active vehicle for driving the economy.
Yes, indeed, the book is very timely. First, because Nigeria has a lot of potentials. It has the largest population in Africa, the largest GDP, is the largest frontier market in the world, but we do not know how to tell our own stories. We have challenges, no doubt, but we tend to talk more about the challenges than the opportunities. But even those challenges can be overcome. So the book is very timely because we are able to tell the story of Nigerian economy, Nigerian financial system, Nigerian capital market, investment banking in Nigeria, and there is a lot that is being done in this area. The book is also timely because we need to be able to document for future generation what is happening in the country. We need to be able to help students to grasp what is happening in the capital market. And it's also timely as policymakers try to grapple with how to regulate the capital market, the financial system, so that they can contribute more efficiently and effectively to the Nigerian economy.
Basically talks about how you can use the private sector financing in the art of developmental finance to develop projects. So the pension funds, for instance, there is 8 trillion in pension funds, and this can be channeled towards long-term infrastructure. Also, there are products within the financial market framework that can endeavor savings. And once you have savings, you have a pool of funds to deploy both in the short term, meaning for SMEs, because if you look at the central bank governor, he's saying banks should lend at least 60%. So bringing in monies from outside of the banking system and also encouraging people to save using various savings products will help increase the banking base for deposits and also the availability of funds to now use to drive the economy, both for the private sector, for SMEs, and then for government and developmental finance of projects.
The book, co-authored by Dr. Temitope Oshikoya and Mr. Kehinde Jurosimi Eti, brings a fresh perspective and analysis that policymakers, regulators, market players, business leaders, and investment bankers must read and make informed decisions.